Hi, I'm Sophia and I'm with MSU Denver, and I'm going to do this demonstration where we are going to take red cabbage and make something called an indicator so we can figure out if the foods and the chemicals in our home are acids or bases. So an acid is something that has a very low pH, so things that usually taste really tart, like lemon juice or vinegar, are acids. And then bases are things with a high pH that typically are very bitter tasting. So soaps and cleaners that we shouldn't be eating anyways, but sometimes, if you're taking a shower, you might get a little bit of shampoo in your mouth. That's basic, okay? So we're going to make this red cabbage indicator, and we're going to mix it with some household products that we can find, and we're going to see if these things are acids or bases. So you have a worksheet where you can fill in the household chemicals that you're going to be testing, and you can hypothesize or guess if you think it's an acid or a base, and then you'll test it with your indicator, and then you can make what's called a conclusion to see if it is an acid or a base based on what color your indicator changes to. So to make the indicator, you want to get a pot of water and start heating it up, and then you're going to need a head of red cabbage. We're going to tear this up and put it into the water and let it boil for about 5 minutes. So if you're at home in your kitchen, you can cut this up with a knife with the help of a grown-up, but I'm in the lab and I don't have a knife, so I'm just going to rip it up with my hands, so that's okay too. And we're just going to put it into this water that I'm heating up as well. And now we wait. So our cabbage has been sitting in the water for about 5 minutes as the water was heating. And so now you want to be super careful and make sure that you have some heat protection, because remember, hot metal and hot glass look like cold metal and cold glass, and we don't want to burn our hands. So I'm going to grab these with my oven mitts, and then I have a filtration set up here, but you can use a colander at home, okay? And so we're just going to filter as much as we need so that we can test all of our household chemicals. We don't want any of the chunks of cabbage in our indicator. So we're going to test Windex. This is window cleaner that we can find at home, and we're going to see if it's acidic or basic. So we're adding the Windex to the indicator, and we see a color change. So you can compare this color change to the pH chart and see if this is basic or acidic. Okay, next we'll test isopropyl alcohol, which is the rubbing alcohol that we've been using a lot lately to disinfect surfaces, and we're going to test if it's acidic or basic. So the pH indicator did not change color when I added the alcohol to it. Compare this to your pH chart and tell me if it's acidic or basic. So next we're going to test if hand soap is acidic or basic. So instead of just putting the soap directly into the indicator because it's a little thick, I made a solution where I mixed soap and water together, and this is what we're going to put into the indicator. So again, the pH indicator didn't change color. What does this tell you about the pH of soap? Next, we're going to test something that's similar to vinegar. So in the lab, we have an acid. It's called acetic acid, and it's basically the same as vinegar that you can find in your kitchen. So we're going to test to see if this is acidic or basic. So it changed to pink color. If you compare this to your chart, is it acidic or basic? Next, we have a baking soda solution. So we use baking soda when we bake and cook, and I've mixed it with some water here for the lab, and we're going to test if it's acidic or basic. So we get a green color. Do you think this is acidic or basic? Acids and bases can neutralize each other and get back to a pH 7. And so we have our solution here where I took the red cabbage indicator and I had added some of our baking soda, which is basic based on the pH scale. What we can do now is we can take some of our acid and add it to this and change it back to a different color. So you can see now we have a really pink color, which shows us that the solution is now acidic. So I hope you had fun making this red cabbage indicator and testing household chemicals and food products to see if they were acidic or basic.